Productivity is all about optimizing inputs and outputs. And the best way to think about it is kind of miles per gallon. We're not just interested in the destination or what we've achieved, but ultimately what it takes in order to get there.
What we're finding when we're looking at measuring productivity, it's not about the efficiency when we are at work, it's the pieces in between, and that's where we're losing productivity. So the importance of measuring it is to identify those non-productive hours, that non-productive time.
When we're looking at measuring productivity, we can measure it at a number of levels. At a process level, typically we'll measure things like output achieved per worker hour. At a business level, it's really the value that's being delivered for the cost it takes to achieve that value or deliver that value. So the key thing to remember when measuring productivity is about it's always the input against the output.
There's lots of things you can measure. We can look industry-wide levels. So actually things that might be the measurement for the whole of the project, what value per working hour that's happened. That's really useful at an industry level. If you want to compare, say, are we more productive in one geographic region than another? Is one form of procurement more productive than the other? But actually, on the project level and for the individual subcontractor, trade contractor, then you want to look at project-specific measures because they'll be very different from project to project. So what we've actually found is for each opportunity you need to analyse the project, see what's going to have the biggest impact on productivity and decide on what measures you want those to be.
When we're looking at measuring productivity, there's an acid test that we tend to employ. And the acid test is, first off, can we see the situation at a glance? Can we know instantly whether we're on track, not on track, things are good or bad? And then secondly, from that information, can we expose the primary opportunities for improvement? And then on the back of that, the third principle is fundamentally, are people engaged to do anything about it? Are they inspired to take improvement? The key thing about measuring productivity, it's all about what are we doing with the measure.
So if you're trying to think about how you measure productivity, there's lots of different things you can do. What you need to do is work together collaboratively to decide what do you want to measure, and that's going to be where you can get the best bang for your buck, what's going to be most important for your project, and then identify the most efficient and appropriate piece of technology to do that. I think the real benefits for me of measuring productivity is it allows you to be objective as opposed to being subjective about what you're looking at. Let me give you a good example. We had a project where we knew that we weren't getting the efficiency that we wanted on the project, but weren't really sure why. So we decided to put telematics on the crane. Now the crane was responsible for lots of things, cladding on the building, putting steel work up, moving plant and equipment around the project. It was only when we put the telematics on the crane that we were able to identify the flat spots when it was being non-productive. And actually what we understood was it was when it was unloading the wagons. So it enabled us to get everybody from the project around the problem. Why is it being really slow and unproductive when it's unloading the wagons? Well, it's because a lot of the stuff on the back of the lorries was coming unslung. So we had to stop and wait to sling the load before we could lift it. The crane was waiting. So it enabled us to focus on the problem as a team. We brought everyone together, how we could improve it. Procurement sorted out the loads getting pre-slung. It was much quicker for the offloading. And so it allowed that objectivity and the collective problem solving.
Productivity is an aid to help us improve efficiencies and improve what we do. So what we don't advocate is just measuring productivity for productivity's sake. It needs to feed an improvement system.